Jews and the Italians, aren't we the same?
Very close.
Only our food is not as good. Like, not even close to as good.
You handle lunch, we handle dinner.
What do we do for lunch? I mean, we have like...
The pastrami, come on.
Yeah, no, we have corn... Yeah, we have pastrami, we have matzo balls,
Right.
we have latke. But we have nasty shit like we don't have...
Ben's Deli.
Right.
Yeah, no.
Cats, come on, cats.
Yeah, Cat's Deli. I went there. I remember I used to go. My fucking buddy used to get tongue sandwich. Like, what the fuck?
No, you get the pastrami. Why would you? Yeah, but if
I like
you're
a
at the
good-
Cats, you get the pastrami. That's
I like a
what
good
you
Reuben. I could do a good Reuben. I like that. I didn't think I'd be into that normally, but I am. Are you ready to do this? Great podcast this week. We have veteran Peter Grosso. We're talking real estate. Is the market crashing? Is it not crashing? And cookies. Check it out. Yeah, kid. Welcome everybody back to another episode of Smells Like Cappy with Handsome. I'm your host, Charles Weinraub, a.k.a. the Handsome Homebuyer, a.k.a. Captain Permit, a.k.a. No, we're just cutting it out, right? We decided? All right. So, what are we talking about? First, talking about Captain Permit. Obviously, you have permit problems. You got to call the captain, 516-513-8838. There's nothing but permit problems out there. All I am doing is having permit problems out there. Today's guest can obviously attest to the fact that I'm sure all he has and his clients have are permit problems. Can I get a
100%.
You get a hell yeah on that?
You got an amen.
Amen on that. Obviously, I'm the Handsome Home Buyer, so you have a house that smells like cat pee, dated from the 1960s. You know I want to buy it. Anything real estate related, I want to buy it on Long Island. And the boroughs doing all kinds of deals from commercial to residential to note purchases to tax liens. You name it, we do it. And I'm loving it. Last but not least, this episode is sponsored by Cardinal Financial, specifically Sal Rizzolo. He's my guy, but I hope you use him because he's amazing. He's the best I've ever dealt with. But if you don't, you got to be working with somebody because, and I'm sure we'll talk about this also, lots of buyers, not a lot of qualified buyers. If you don't have a loan officer screening every accepted offer and underwriting these people, not talking to their loan officer because their loan officer is probably lying to you about bankruptcies and everything else. But if you are not actively having these people underwritten by your person, man or woman, you're going to end up 60 days down the road with somebody that doesn't qualify to buy a sandwich.
I concur. And unless it's Sal, like I have a deal with Sal.
Do you?
Yeah, I think two. I think we have two where he sent an offer over. I use Mark Morazzo.
Yeah.
He's my buddy. He's amazing. But when Sal sends something over, I know we're okay.
Yeah.
So you have to know once you're in the field and you know who the players are. You know when it's safe and when you got to double check.
And there's very few. I've never had the pleasure of doing a deal with Mark Morazzo, but I have a lot of respect for him, and I've seen the things that he does, and I know you guys are very close. So hopefully I get an offer with him. But yeah, otherwise it's just like, and I feel like recently a lot of mortgage people rushed into the business like realtors, which you can attest to because the last year was just fucking pandemonium.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, easy money, easy money. And now that like the refi game is gone and we're back to like a normal type of market, even though everybody's thinking, oh shit, the world is coming to an end, which I don't support that. I'd love to get your opinion on that. You have a lot of people that don't know what the hell they're doing in the business.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many, because I'm a broker and people know that I have agents and that I can guide them towards them. How many people doing complete different industries, bus drivers, and other industries where they call me, I just got my mortgage license.
Oh, really?
I'm wondering, and this was when rates were super low.
Yeah.
I just got my mortgage license. I'm wondering if you can recommend me. So like the moment that happened, I'm like something's about to shift.
We're screwed.
The world's the world's about to shift. So yeah, you don't know who's sending the pre-approval over.
Yeah, no, it's a problem. And the reason why I guess there was kind of two phases for this for me. So first, I had three deals fall apart in a week that were under contract for like 60 days. Mm-hmm. One of the people actually even lost their down payment. So at that point, I was like, screw it. So I ended up making a deal with Sal, and he's like, all right, I'm going to look over everything. And then he used to speak to the LOs just to get make sure that everything was good. And then the LOs started lying and not telling you about bankruptcies or DTI. Guys got like an 80% DTI, debt to income ratio. It's like, what the fuck? So now we're like, listen, either you get underwritten with us or you don't want to deal with it. We had a recent deal where I listed a house in Bayshore, Brentwood Schools. We had like 12 or 13 offers, and only one of them qualified.
Wow.
We threw
That's
out,
insane.
and they were all over ask, and we threw all of them out. I just did another one in Brentwood. We had 4 or 5 offers. Only one of them qualified.
That's insane. There's a panic session because rates went up, and like
Yeah.
there's going to be a 2-month period too where like people that qualified at the 2.7 are holding the same pre-approval
Yes.
at the 5.2,
Yeah.
and they're dead.
Yep.
And no one's checking on that.
Without a doubt. Yeah, that's part of the big problem. Or it's a shit show. It's like a free-for-all out there. So it's interesting. So I want to get everybody's out there screaming, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. Rates are going to like fucking 15%. I mean, I do think rates are eventually going to go higher. I hope they allow the market to digest for the next 6 months because the instability is not good for a couple reasons. I hear buyers saying, I'm just going to chill. You have people that just got knocked out because they can't afford it. And then people lost buying power. And then you have people that are like, I'll just wait for the rates to come down again. I'm like, rates ain't ever coming down again.
Yeah, I don't know that they're ever coming down again. And the world's not going to end.
No.
This is not 2008.
Yep.
People have equity in their houses. They didn't have equity in their houses in 2008. So when the rates rose, it stalled things. And then when the market pulled back 5%, everyone had 99%, 1% equity in their house. They were immediately underwater.
Yeah.
People have an average of 40% equity in their houses right now.
That's interesting.
So there most likely isn't going to be a domino effect.
Yeah, no.
like we saw in 2008. So I don't think the sky's going to fall. I can't see if there's 2 things are going to happen. Inflation's at 7%.
That's fucking nuts.
So even if inflation's at 7%, for banks to loan at 5% is a loss. They're still lending actually at a loss. So if inflation stays at 7%, so they're actually making a losing bet, and you're still gaining if inflation stays at 7%, right? So most likely it won't.
That's scary.
Yeah,
Most likely what? Inflation or the rates?
I think inflation has to pull back at some point.
Well, yeah, but the only
Yeah.
way to do it is to raise rates.
Yeah, so rates raise, and what's happening right now is they're pulling money out of the system 2 ways. You have the lower rates increase the velocity of money.
Yeah.
So the money's moving around really fast because everyone's taking. So the fractional reserve banking creates a much larger pool of money, and during both crises, the Fed was buying bonds.
Yep.
And they were buying bonds to squeeze out other investors, so they spent their money in other places in the economy. So there was again more velocity of money. Now we're shrinking the money supply because their bonds are maturing,
Yeah, the selling bonds, yeah.
and the bonds come back to that money comes back to the Fed and it disappears. They put it in, it became more money, it comes out, it burns away.
Do you really think, though, that they can, like, the problem is that they dump too much money into the system.
Yeah.
Like, more so with, like, just the freebies. Do you really think that they can pull that money out? I don't think so. It's too much.
I think. See, I know. I think there's so much money in the system sloshing around that's just sitting and waiting. But as soon as inflation happens, it's supposedly supposed to move faster, right? Because people are terrified of letting money sit. So then they start spending it. We're not seeing like this hyperinflation thing happen where that's happening, and rates have come up. That will slow down the money supply a little bit, the velocity of money, which is where inflation comes from. And we're pulling money out of the system slowly. I think it'll level things off. I don't think it'll cause panic, but there is 2 ways it can go. It could bounce back to a tightening situation where we hit a recession because we've tightened the supply in 2 spots. Not traditionally, it's been 1 spot where what they say is they take away the punch bowl, meaning that rates are low and then there was too much of a party, so inflation's starting to hit and everyone's making too much money and we're going to cause a bubble, so they take away the punch bowl by raising rates.
Yeah.
And that was the one move that they were doing for the last 80 years.
Yep.
We're doubling our moves now because for the first time ever, they actually bought things. They actually infused money directly into the economy, and now they're pulling it out. We don't have a history of that.
No, it's unprecedented time. So that's
Yeah.
why you don't know exactly what is going to go on. But like they can't do things too fast. But the problem is they always do. They always overdo everything. Everything always gets overdone, and that's how you have these situations.
Government can't do things.
No, like
They can't time things. They don't have the infrastructure, the skill set to do it.
Like if they would have just given people some money at the onset of COVID and then said, figure it out, go back to work, as
Right.
opposed to extending it and extending it so long and putting out so much money,
Yeah, there were so many failures, including the lockdown. I mean, the extended lockdown, we started to figure out that there was virtually no difference in the spread, and we kept the lockdown happening. That kept us having to infuse money into the system, and it just perpetuated this problem that's gonna be sticking around.
Yeah.
And so there's a bad reaction, there's a bad reaction, then there's a bad reaction to the reaction, and then at some point
it's just a chain reaction.
Yeah, it's a chain bad reaction. So our job is to just adjust. Well, I don't think our job is to predict. I think our job is to just be on our toes and move quickly.
I think the toughest part in the real estate market right now, so I'm doing a lot of projects. We have like at any given time, we have anywhere from 40 to 60 houses under construction, plus what's listed on the market, plus what's coming in. So I felt like, oh yeah, the rates are gonna, my prediction for like when I was last year, I was like, all right, last year's gonna be good. This year's still gonna be good, which it is. Rates will start to rise. Even next year, the market will still move, but rates will start to rise, and it will be like a slow grind. So I was like, I'll aggressively buy this year on the longer term stuff, taper next year, and then just, gradually sell out everything and just buy the stuff where I really have the really good spreads if I can, because to not keep as risk. But when you're going out on like new construction, subdivisions, stuff like that has a little bit longer of a timeline, the risk goes up because you don't know where the rates are going to be.
How conservative are you being? When you look at a flip, are you looking at the comps minus 5%? Are you looking, and when you're looking at new construction that's a year and a half out, are you trying to make safety, are you putting in like in a safety margin for a pullback a year and a half from now?
So my thing is like, so now at this point with the rates, until I see what's going on, I'm not going to buy any more of that stuff. All that stuff I had kind of in the pipeline. Some of the, and I don't, like, me well enough to know that like I don't buy off slim margins. I only buy off like real margins where I can do the right job and make money. So I'm always safe there in the sense that, I can make enough just to like take us out to dinner if everything goes bad, because I'm not buying off of this slim margin, trying to make 20 grand and then lose 100 grand or lose 50 grand or whatever it is. But, am I being more conservative? It's hard to say, because for all the stuff that people are saying, like I put a bunch of houses on the market. They're all pretty much gone. I'm putting more houses on the market in the next couple of weeks, depending on what happens over the next like 2 to 4 weeks on the stuff that I'm listing at different price points. I'm going to see. But I spoke to my mentor, Carl Chavone, the other day for like 45 minutes. He's very tied into the data. And he's like, the demand is still crazy. And a lot of people are still showing up to open houses, and there's a lot of showings. Like I see the action. I see less qualified buyers, and I see people a little bit apprehensive because of all the instability. But the demand is huge. Like stats I got yesterday we're 7 million houses short. And there's nothing that is going to, we're still at 1.8, 1.9 months worth of inventory. There's nothing that is going to, listen, you want to raise rates to 15% and just shut the whole thing off and wait for supply to build. But otherwise, what's bringing that supply up?
Nothing. We don't have a lot of land left to build.
There's nothing here.
I think that demand is skewed in heavily towards the first-time homebuyer market too.
Yeah.
So we may be 7 million short. 4.5 might be towards the first-time homebuyer, and the rest scattered across the rest of the market.
What I think is like, I think north of 7 will soften slightly. Right? So what do you have to do? You have to make sure you're buying right and you're doing the right renovation and presenting the right product. No more like slap some paint on the wall, throw on the market. It's going to sell because everything's selling with 20 offers, over ask in 5 minutes. You have to do the right renovation, the right way, price it right, all that. So I think people really need to also check the under contracts. Looking at the under contracts, do you check the under contracts?
I do. If I'm comping something, I check it, and I'll call the listing agent and see what info they're willing to give. Yeah. Because that's as close to the market as we can get, where they have a buyer. So
exactly,
that's the number one place to go.
So the other contracts are very important. If you're an investor, agent listing somebody's houses, you want to check the days on market. Especially like usually I'll go out 90 days on the under contracts, but even now with stuff that's going on, like you want to be tighter. Like you want to look at the 90 days, but you want to really look at like the last 30 days to see how it's trending. I think people also have to realize, and this happens every year, when summer hits, things slow a little bit. They do.
There's like gaps of time.
Yes.
It's like
historic gaps every single year, like clockwork. But every year we forget about it and people start freaking out.
Right. I concur.
So what are you thinking? You thinking slow grind down as rates move up if they continue to move up?
I think if they move up, we'll have either a slight pullback, but I don't see these over asking things happening any much longer. For two reasons. One, we can't keep adjusting upwards and have this spread between income and house prices. Every 3 months it gets wider. You know, like if you just, for example, like you list a year and a half ago, if I listed a house for 500,000, I was getting 550, right? And it would appraise at 500. Then at 550, 3 months later, that closes. That's new a comp for 550.
Yep.
I put a similar house up in that area for 550. Now we're getting 580.
Yeah.
That's only 6 months later. We're $80,000 higher.
Yeah, it was nuts.
It's still been happening. What I'm noticing is we're starting to hit asking prices and 15, 20K above asking. Instead of it was going at 100.
Okay.
Then it was going at 50. Now it's going at 30. And for a $500,000 house, we're getting offers at, I just put a house up for 500. We got offers up to 550, but they're only guaranteeing a $15,000 spread.
Yeah, now I see those that people don't want to do the appraisal waivers, or if they do, it's a smaller amount.
Right, which is the same thing as a lower offer, because there's going to be appraisal issues. If they're offering 50K over what I'm assuming it would appraise at today, even if we get an aggressive appraiser, maybe we're getting 520, 530, even though they're offering 550. So
it's still a great number.
It's great. It's wonderful. My sellers are very happy.
Yeah.
But they're not as desperate, and they're not making these waivers as readily as they were.
What do you think about buyer fatigue? You think that's a real thing also? I think I've also been hearing a lot of people being like, hey, I'm just taking a break. Like I feel like I went to battle. I lost all the time. I'm not doing it.
Been seeing it for a year and a half.
Yeah.
We're like, especially like it's been getting easier as it's been getting easier to get into houses, but like 2020, I was getting 50 offers per house. I was making 49 families cry. And you enjoyed that. I was making 49 families cry, and for all intents and purposes, they were looking at 20, 30 houses and being one of 50 offers.
Yeah.
They were fatigued. Then it got a little easier when there was 30 offers per house. Then there's 20. Now, we're seeing, depending on if it's a first-time home buyer, I'm still getting 7, 8 offers a house.
Yeah.
For the houses that are plus 700, I'm getting 2 to 3.
But,
yes, the fatigue is there's less fatigue, but I've been seeing it for a year and a half. People like taking
I feel like
short
that's healthy,
breaks,
though.
giving them pep talks. Yeah.
I feel like it's healthy to get, 2-3 offers on a house that's $750 million, whatever. And it's healthy to get, 5-6 offers on a $500,000 house.
Right.
That makes sense to me. I'd like that to, continue going. I think
that would be the perfect market.
Yeah.
That would just be the nice, easy market where there's predictability. That we don't have sad, panicking sellers. The buyers can have a good shot at getting what they want. That would be the perfect market. I hope we see that. If we see that, though, that's usually a trend towards something shifting in the other direction anyway, right?
Yeah, I just hope because I don't know, it's just not good. Because if in the secondary market, because the problem is now, like, none of these guys want to buy the loans on the back end because they're worried that if the rates drop, they're going to blow up because they just paid all this money. People are going to refi. It's going to be a mess. So they have to do something to stabilize what's going on.
Yeah, the market will stabilize itself. It always does. As long as government doesn't get in the way.
But that's what happens.
It always does.
Ultimately. So, yeah, that's my only thing. Like, I don't think... I want to see what happens with these. I'm putting out, like, a $900,000 house in Belmore, a, like, $1.2 million house in Merrick. Mm-hmm. But when I look around the comps, and even recently, like, a couple blocks away at this place in Merrick, 1.46, 123, like crazy numbers.
It's insane.
So based on that, I'm going to, figure out what I'm going to do. But my original plan was all of this year to buy aggressively, even like, subdivision, new construction stuff, to be like building and then liquidating like second half of next year when it started to get a little dicey. And I just think after that, it's fucking Armageddon. You're
going to start liquidating your rentals as well?
No.
Okay.
My rentals, with low rates, I've been refinancing everything, taking cash out, and then hoarding it to buy other stuff.
Where do you see commercial going?
I guess it depends on the asset class, right? So rentals, I mean, the big funds are buying off of like 2 and 3 caps right now because they're using it as an inflation hedge. A, they have money that they need to put to work, right? B, rents are going to, A, with inflation, and B, rents are going to continue to go up because of inflation and because of, as rates go up and people can't buy houses, they need a place to live, they're going to rent. So the rents are really freaking going through the roof. So the rentals are a really safe bet.
Okay.
Especially if you're doing like program-based type of stuff. I mean, the tough thing with New York is like they're trying to pass all kinds of legislation to basically fuck landlords.
Yeah.
All kinds of craziness. Like I mean, one of them just got shot down, but they're trying to make it so you can't really evict people anymore, and it's horrible.
I know, which means that prices go up. The more they intervene to do the right thing, the more risk they put on the landlord, the more compensation they need to take on that risk. So they're everything New York State has done has been to protect the tenants, has hurt them and the landlords at the same time.
I don't understand this like hatred. Like I'll post a TikTok about Section 8 or whatever. The hate that goes on in the comments towards landlords, it's like you think we would like selling kids into sex slavery or something. Like I don't understand why there's such hatred towards landlords.
I think people misdiagnose what it means to be a business owner entirely. And they think that money is just being absorbed into our bodies.
Yeah.
And that
not the case.
We're not doing anything, and like I'm not getting up at 4 a.m. and working till midnight, and like I think there's just this air with them that they feel like somebody is stealing.
Yeah. Or that if you're a business owner, you're just inherently wealthy.
Yeah, and that the effort is not there.
And but even if you are, like, everybody sees they see the result. They don't see all the preparation, the constant risk, the brain damage that happens every day.
Right.
Like literally somebody is trying to take advantage every day.
Right. 100%. And by the way, the average landlord owns one house.
Is that true?
Yeah, that's their one asset that they're trying to make as their retirement, and they're hated on too. And if they get screwed, then they lose that whole asset. They're losing. Yeah. I can't tell you how many houses I sell where I have people that I have a client now. They're 75 years old. They have 2 terrible tenants, and I have to, I'm schmoozing the hell out of these tenants to get the house sold. But they're crying on my shoulder over the stress they're getting over this one house. And those people are thought of in the same context as those comments that you're getting on TikTok. It's not right.
No, it's bad. It's a bad scenario, and hopefully it's starting to get a little bit better. But with the rentals, rentals are a very safe play. You have to be careful with the purchasing at this point because the prices are so crazy. They really don't make any sense. Like I haven't bought a rental in a while. I bought a bunch. I got a really good deal on a bunch of non-performing notes, and I'm foreclosing on them, and doing cash for keys and stuff. And that's okay. It was a package of like 9 of them. But aside from that, I'm not buying rentals, not because I don't want to, because the numbers don't make sense.
So you can't pick anything up right now. It's tough.
Bro, I just sold a house in Bellport on Walker. I listed it at $379. I sold it for $400,000. Like they broke in 4 times in the past 2 weeks and stole the alarm system. Like one of the houses around the block got shot up twice. $400,000, $30,000 over ask. 4 years ago, I bought a package over there that I have as rentals for $45,000 each, $50,000 each.
Insane.
So you can't you can't make it work. You can't make the numbers work.
What would you say to the average person? Because I know your goal is to burst strategy these and be able to refinance out.
Yeah.
Refinance out of it so that you can reinvest. Would you give the same advice to the construction worker that just wants to invest his money to wait for something Burr-like or something that the margins are right, or just buy something and rent it because 20, 30 years from now, it's about having the asset?
No. See, people say that all the time, like, oh, I just want it to pay for itself, so I have this and it pays it off. No, like, I think the first step is always education to understand how it works, how to recognize a good deal, how to manage these things, everything involved. Because if it's not making money from day one, it's not an investment.
Right.
It's not. It doesn't make sense. So first you have to get the education to understand what a good deal is, what's the process, build your professional team, etc. Then you go out there and buy only when the deal is right. Like, so Mark wants to build his rental portfolio, and his Mark who works with me, and he's like, I want to have 10 rentals within the next like 10 years. And I always say to him, you know, if a year he didn't buy a rental, I'm like, bro, it doesn't matter. You don't have to buy one every year. The goal is at the end of 10 years, you want to have 10.
Right.
So maybe when the market takes a shit, you buy 4, right, and then one, and then you don't for a couple years. But at the end of the day, you bought right, and you have the right assets, and it makes sense.
Right.
So that's the thing. I mean, most skilled investors wait when the shit hits the fan, they buy heavily, and then they just ride the wave.
What would you say a safe margin is for someone who's not a real estate investor? Let's say somebody comes to me, or they come to you and they're just looking for advice. They have a cousin that a construction worker, they make $150,000 a year.
Okay.
And they want to buy rental properties, and we roll over. They're willing to put 20% down and hold that.
Okay.
Should it be a 10 cap? Should it be after capex expenditures and all other set asides?
What do I think?
What do you think a safe margin is for just everyday
person
just trying to do something with their money?
So, all right. So it's basically like this. Everybody's idea of a good investment is different. And there's equity versus cash flow. So you have to really decide what you like to do. Like, I know certain people that are like, hey, I'll take a 6% cash on cash return, assuming maintenance, management, capex, etc., because I have 20% equity in the property. So for me, like, I want to build value by doing the renovation. So I need at least 12% cash on cash, if not more. And then I need to create at least 20% of equity, or I don't want to do it. But for the average person, and then you also have to compare to what other investments out there are available to you, right?
Right.
I'm a professional investor. Things pop up. If you're a construction worker who isn't in different spaces and you don't have the same opportunities because you're not, you have lower. So it's really hard. It's really hard to say. I mean, for me, I don't like going lower than, like, let's say a 10. I don't think anybody should go less than, in my opinion, like a 7 with some equity in it. If you're happy with that, like a safe investment, 7% cash on cash return with, 10 or 15% equity in the property, and you're safe in case something happens. That's what because otherwise you could just lend money, right? You don't have the same tax benefits, but so does it make sense to get a 5% return and have to deal with the headaches when, I could lend you money and just get checks every month and not deal with it?
Right.
So that's what I think people have to understand. People have to understand, A, they need to get educated so they know what they're getting into. B, they need to compare it to what other opportunities they have. Like, the government just came out with this I-bond thing. You hear about this?
No.
The government came out with this I-bond. I just learned about it last night. It's guaranteed. You can't put more than $10,000 in it per social, but you could do that every year. It's a 30-year bond that, and you could pull out with, I think, limited or no penalty after 5 years. But it's 9.96% guaranteed government money.
It's a government bond at 9%.
Government bond at 9.96%.
But it's a max $10,000.
Max $10,000 per year per social.
So it has to be a social security number.
Yes.
Right. Can't be an EIN because we'll make 50 of them.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
It has to be like a personal thing, but it's called the
Yeah.
I-bond. People should look into it. I just heard about it last night.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
The 9.96%. I-bond.
I-bond.
I-bond. Yeah, I think you could put as little as like $500 in it. 9.96% guaranteed government money.
$10,000 max.
Compounding.
So I can buy it for myself, for my family, just like whoever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pull it up when you go home. I-bond.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. So then you ask yourself, okay, does it make sense for me to get 7% on this rental and deal with the nonsense when I can get 9.96% and the government's going to back it?
Right. Step 1 is buy an I-bond.
Yes.
Right. And then reassess after that.
And also you have to be honest with yourself and say, how much do you want to be involved in the process? How much can you be involved in the process? For me, it's like either you have like 1 or 2 rentals and you deal with it yourself, or you have like a lot of them and you hire people to either you hire a professional property management company or you build a professional property management company.
Right.
But rentals are a good safe bet, even in New York with all the bullshit laws. Are you refinancing your stuff now or no?
I refinanced one. I'm gonna sell a property in Rochester.
Yeah.
I'm just tired. I'm tired of having out of area properties.
You only have one up there?
I have one left up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
You had a property management company managing it?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
At one point, I had 2 6 units, 4 singles, and a double.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pricing way different up there, right?
Way different, yeah.
Yeah.
I bought one for $20K.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, insane, right?
A 6-unit?
No, not the 6 unit. The 6 unit was, I think, 120.
That's still insane.
Yeah, and that was like 2013.
Wow.
Yeah.
What are they going for now?
Yeah. They're going around 300,000 right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would do. See, yeah, that's a situation where I blow that stuff out. Because usually markets like Rochester, they're just like, zzz. They never go up, they never go down. You have like that solid 10 cap cash flow typically.
Right. That was the bonus of Rochester was when I was buying there was the prices were coming down because of the financial crisis and during that time when they were coming down. And they have an incredibly strong Department of Social Services.
Yeah.
So the rents were staying the same, prices were coming down, margins were going up.
Yep.
So we were picking them up. We were wholesaling stuff too. Like we were buying some stuff, fixing them, renovating them, and selling them on LoopNet to like Israeli investors.
How are you dealing with the whole acquisition and renovation when you live here and that's Rochester?
I made it. I lived up there for a while.
Okay.
I spent 2 weeks at a time there developing relationships, and
Yeah.
I got to know a realtor up there. I got to know an attorney up there, a contractor, and I was there every 2 weeks, spending 2 weeks, which is part of why I don't invest in there anymore. There's a lot of opportunity there, but once I had my kids, I can't leave for 2 weeks at a time.
No.
So
No.
that actually was the catapult of me being where I am today. Is my kids making me not want to travel.
Yeah. No, it's true. I appreciate you coming down, man. This was good. It was good to connect with you.
Same here, always.
Peter Grosso, Remax Integrity Leaders. If people are interested, obviously, buying a house, selling a house, or joining the brokerage, because like I always say, I mean, I put out unprompted videos that you've seen. I think you do a great job, and you're one of the very few brokers that's really, next level and changing the way brokerages should be
That means a
run.
lot to me, and your support and your friendship is everything, man. So I appreciate you.
Nice, absolutely. So how do people get in touch with you? They want to find you on social media? Call
Yeah,
you,
I'm
etc.
Pocket Pete, Peter Grosso on Instagram. You can call me, text me, 631-365-3271. Email yourguypete@gmail.com or
Your guy, Pete?
Your Guy Pete.
Fuck, I love it.
Yeah, damn right. I'm your guy. All right, see you soon.
Handsome home buyer, Captain Permit, Cardinal Financial, you know the drill. I want to buy it. 516-777 sold. That's a wrap. All right.
All right.